Hello and welcome to Diecast Diaries. I'm Dan, and following on from my previous sort of two-part unboxing video where I sort of basically opened up a load of carded Matchbox cars, I quite enjoyed it, to be honest. And I thought I've actually got a few of the moving parts range that I thought it's not as many, but I thought it was enough to do a video on. So yeah, so I thought I'd gather these together and open them on this video. So moving parts, it's kind of a sort of fairly recent range that Matchbox have introduced. I will say, it's a bit. I think it's a bit of a reflection of the times in that, it's now classed as a premium range compared to the normal range, whereas the sort of features that these have, things like opening bonnets, opening doors, Matchbox cars from the sort of 70s, 80s, 90s had those as just part of the normal range. It was, it wasn't considered premium or anything like that. But yeah, unfortunately, it's anything like this is now classed as a sort of a premium, and you do sort of pay extra for these models. They're in obviously totally different packaging, and they're really presented as like, so wow, it's special. It's got an opening bonnet or opening doors or whatever. But it is what it is, I suppose. Having said that, they have done some really nice models as part of the moving parts range. So as you can see, we've got a total of 8 different ones today. Again, because of what my sort of interests are, they are all American vehicles again. So we've got a couple of the older type, and then 6 that I think are actually all sort of 2024 releases, I think, in the sort of new recyclable packaging. So anyway, enough of that. And to be fair, I would be interested to hear what you think of the moving parts range, whether you think it's a bit of a swizz that Matchbox are kind of charging extra for kind of features that were pretty standard in days gone by. But enough of that. Let's get on and get some open. So we'll start with a couple of older ones first. So this is the 2006 Ford Crown Victoria Taxi. I would like to, I know they've done a Ford Crown Victoria police car in sort of NYPD markings. Oh, certainly enough package. I can see why they changed the packaging. It's plenty of bits of plastic on that. Well, yeah, I'd love to get the NYPD versus, but this is a classic sort of New York taxi cab. The biggest problem with things like this is that when the basic car is metal and then they make the opening doors out of plastic, they can never quite get the shade right. You can see they are a slightly different shade of the sort of more orangey, I think, than the actual main sort of car. But it's not too bad, and it is nice to have features. And I suppose opening rear doors is quite an unusual feature. You'd expect like the front doors or the bonnet to open, or sometimes the boot, but the rear doors, I think this casting, it's the first time I've seen rear doors opening on a car. But yeah, it's nice. It does kind of suffer that because they've used the same casting. Although it does say taxi on this one, it's obviously very similar to the police car one they've done. But it's nice that it's got the full tampos on the rear lights there. Yeah, they've done another taxi version, that's sort of like a sort of paler yellow. I think it's like an airport taxi type thing. But this is a classic NYC Ford Crown Victoria taxi. Sadly, not in service anymore. Been replaced by sort of newer vehicles because the Crown Vic's not made anymore. But yeah, that for me is a sort of proper classic New York taxi. And then the other one I've got in the older packaging, an unusual one really, it's the 1950 Chevy Suburban. Yeah, quite an unusual vehicle for Matchbox to do. And I must admit, as familiar as I am with the Chevy Suburban, I didn't realise it had been going for quite as long as that. Nice colour as well, sort of dark metallic green with the sort of black wings. And the opening part in this case is the bonnet. And it's got a nicely detailed, I'll bring that up here, nicely detailed engine under there. Chevrolet badge on the front there. Yeah, I just thought that was something a little bit different. As I say, it's more the sort of American cars and that from the 60s onwards that I really like. But there are some older ones that I just think, yeah, they're just a little bit different. And that's quite a nice one. And yeah, as I say, I had no idea the Suburban had been going for as long as that. So moving on to some of the newer ones, and these are in the kind of new sort of recyclable packaging. So we've got the 1995 Chevy C1500. I like the American pickups, and this is still of an era when pickups were proper utility vehicles. It's not like a kind of fancy vehicle or anything like that. It's just a sort of classic sort of utility vehicle, as I say. But yeah, it's really nice. And let's see, we've got the opening part. There we go, the bonnet. Really nicely detailed engine there. That's very nice indeed. I think it looks quite good in the gold livery. And you've got the sort of Chevrolet badge on the back and the rear lights sort of nicely picked out. Wheels really suit this one as well, I think. I'm glad they didn't sort of put like big sort of off-road type wheels on it, because a lot of these pickups are just two-wheel drive. So I think that looks really nice. The front looks good, the sort of grille with the sort of headlights and the indicators. Yeah, that's a nice one. That's the Chevy K1500 pickup. Or was it C1500? I forget, sorry. C1500. Then moving on, we've got the Seagrave fire truck. They've done a few vehicles in this sort of red and sort of yellowy orange livery recently. It is just Matchbox Fire Department. It's not like a real one at all. I'll get that out. But yeah, that's a proper sort of classic American fire truck. And the moving part is the ladder there, but ooh, don't like that. I'm assuming it will just slot back in. Let's just have a look, see if I can do this. Talk amongst yourselves. Ah, there we go. So yeah, so it's just a moving ladder, does obviously fully rotate, and that bit extends out, but not too far, otherwise the whole thing comes out. So we'll turn that round and fold it flat. The only problem with the fire engine is because they make them to obviously fit a certain style, certain size of packaging. It means obviously size-wise, it's completely out of scale when compared to the other ones. But it's a nice one, and there's a lot of fair bit of metal content in this one. You've got all that bit off at the back in plastic. Just says, yeah, Matchbox Fire Brigade, El Segundo. You get a lot of the Matchbox emergency vehicles with El Segundo on. I think that's where the Matchbox headquarters is in the US. But yeah, it's I kind of like it because it's got a real place name on it, but then they've kind of ruined it by putting Matchbox Fire Department on it. But hey, it's quite a nice livery that they do anyway, the sort of red with the yellow trim. So that's the Seagrave fire engine. And then another nice emergency vehicle. This casting I've been wanting to get one off for a while. I've done a few different versions of this. It's the 2016 Dodge Ram ambulance. So they've done one of these in that same livery as the Seagrave. They've done a really nice Mattel Creations one in the sort of National Parks livery. Then there's a 70th anniversary one that's kind of orange, but I kind of wanted, this was the one I wanted. It's like a proper, bit more of a classic kind of ambulance with it being mostly white. It's sort of obviously made up livery Matchbox County ambulance, but really nice tampos at the front there. I guess it's a shame they couldn't have picked out the lights along the front of the actual ambulance body. That would have kind of finished it off nicely, but I mean, you can't really argue. The tampos on the side are really nice. And then the detail at the back, again, you've got all the sort of rear lights there, the turn signals and everything. And these doors, which is a nice pleasant surprise, the doors are actually metal. Nice tampering on those as well with the sort of yellow sort of checkerboard marking. But again, it's a shame they couldn't have just done those lights along the top there, would have really sort of finished it off nicely. But having said that, that's really nice. Proper classic sort of American ambulance. So I really like these sort of like the pickup style front and then the sort of boxy rear body. Like those a lot, and yeah, I'd like to get a few more of these, but that's a nice one for me first one. And then we've got the 1970 AMC Javelin. I do like a lot of sort of 60s, 70s muscle cars, and the Javelin's a bit more of an obscure one. Obviously, Matchbox back in the sort of late 70s did do an AMX Javelin. That's one I had when I was little and proudly still have to this day. I can see why people have a problem with this packaging though. It's a bit of a faff to get things out. There we go. So there we go. Now that is really nice. Lovely tampos at the back for the rear lights there. Really like the colour. And then the bonnet sort of picked out in black. And then, yeah, sort of nice detail on the engine there, sort of zoom in. That's really nice. Wheels, again, the standard Matchbox wheels, but they really suit this casting. Nice sort of detail on the door handles there as well, and the sort of stripe along the side. That is really nice, I have to say. I guess the only sort of thing that lets it down is the lack of the headlights being picked out. That would have been nice, just finished it off nicely, but overall, that's a nice one. I do like that. It'll be interesting to see if they bring that out in any other liveries. Now, I mentioned in kind of the unboxing video I did previously, when I was talking about the Ford Police Interceptors, this is the 1978 Ford Bronco, by the way. I'm not a massive SUV fan. I didn't mind it when they were like proper 4x4s like this. The current crop of, like, you know, every manufacturer's now got an SUV out. They're not like proper off-roads or anything like that. I'm really not interested in. But classic 4x4s like this, I really do like. So you've got things like your 80s era Chevy Blazer, Ford Bronco, all that kind of stuff, International Scout. Really like all of those. Jeep Cherokees, Wagoneers and all that. And that's a really nice one. Again, sort of standard Matchbox wheels, but they really, really suit it. Colour scheme's really nice. I like the sort of white hardtop. Lights obviously picked out at the back there. And a lovely sort of chrome grille at the front. And again, it's the bonnet that opens on this. You see you've got a nicely detailed engine there. So yeah, that's a really nice. You've got the indicators just on the side there. So yeah, really like that one. That's the 1978 Ford Bronco. And you just got the Ford badge there. Chrome bumpers kind of, you know, suit it as well. And yeah, it was a lovely colour. That's very nice. So yeah, like that one a lot. And then the last one for this video, a very sort of classic American car, 1964 Buick Riviera. Let's sort this one out in a sort of dusty sort of pink sort of colour, I think you'd say it was. Oh, not keen on that packaging, I must admit. There we go. That's really nice. Again, standard Matchbox wheels, but really suit it. Lovely detail kind of at the back there. And on this one, it's the doors. So, as I say, I do think it's a shame that, you know, that's now classed as a premium feature, whereas, as I say, on Matchbox cars of like from my childhood, sort of 80s, early 90s, and that was a pretty standard thing that Matchbox cars had. But as I say, it is what it is. But it's a nice model, nevertheless. And a nice sort of colour as well. Sort of good detail at the front there with the headlights. Yeah. So there we go. So that's just a sort of small selection of moving parts. Again, similar to the carded Matchbox I recently opened. They were just ones that I've had lying around. And as I say, I thought instead of just opening them, it'd be nice to kind of do a video on them. So yeah, so there we go. So please do like, share, subscribe. I've got some Matchbox 5 packs coming up that I want to do some unboxings on. I've got about sort of half dozen or so of those. Some sort of going back to kind of the 90s with some of those, and then some sort of more recent. So they'll be coming up soon. But yeah, comment, let me know which is your favourite out of those moving parts. And as I say, as I commented earlier on, let me know your thoughts on the moving parts range. Now, how do you feel about paying a premium price for features that were a standard thing on Matchbox cars from like years gone by? But yeah, that's just my opinion anyway. So as I say, please do like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.